This is Kazway Kashiopia. You are listening to 108 Live Radio.
Welcome to 108 Live Radio. This is Kazway Kashiopia. I'm a tarot card reader, artist, creator, and publisher of tarot. I'm also a psychologist and energy healer. I have my own practice in Johannesburg, South Africa as a life coach. I'd like to welcome you to my show, Interactive Tarot. The show is not only about tarot cards, although bits and pieces of tarot-related topics will be covered, along with carrying out live tarot readings. It is just simply full of insights of a way of life, philosophy, science, and spirituality, most of the time involving guests who are in the field of health, wellness, and or spirituality. If you have any question or suggestion, please contact me by emailing to mail@kashiopia.com. Kashiopia is spelled Kashiopia. You can also check out my website, www.kashiopia.com. Interactive Tarot is aired every Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. live here on 108 Live Radio. Stay tuned in. So we got two guests here today. Hi Ashika.
Hi Kazway.
Ashika is a life coach. And the other guest, of course, is Atma. Hi Atma.
Hello.
Atma is the producer of this radio station, 108 Live Radio. I usually start talking about something of tarot cards, the show is Interactive Tarot. Then we will talk about guests' business or what they do, their calling. So, and you Ashika, you don't do tarot reading, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I don't think I have ever talked about how tarot card reading gets done. Have I, Atma?
No.
I actually despite this is about a tarot card. I've never talked about how tarot card is done. I think I talked about how it works, but basically, you get set of cards, the deck that you resonate with, and then before you shuffle, you set your intention of what the question that you have for yourself or for the person who you are doing reading for. And through that intention, life is all about intention, right? Because it's it all starts with energy. So then for some reason, a few reasons actually, quantum physics to spirituality to, all those, or psychology even. You shuffle the cards, you put your intention through the shuffling, and you draw some cards. And there are a few different spreads. Depending on what you want to see, spread, changes. If you just want to have one quick message answer, you do one card reading. If there is something like a past, present, future reading, then you draw 3 cards. Sometimes it can go up to say many cards, 11, 12 cards, 12 cards for 1 month, for one card for 1 month, or I usually do a couple other 11 card readings, and it also depends on depth of the depth of the question current is asking about. If the person wants to know their life purpose or how they can make lives better, I can go into I can draw 11 cards, and look at that person's every different aspect that they should be aware of. And another 11 card reading can also do the whole analysis of past, present, future, how they should tackle their issues, what the support system that they have, their fears and hopes, So yeah, it's really up to one's intention, what they want to find out, and it's totally up to everyone to create their own spread as well.
I love that. I love how that sounds.
Cool. Does that resonate with what you do as a life coach?
Yes, I think it's a great tool to consider from a life coaching perspective, because we normally work with a person going within themselves and looking for these inner conflicts that they have. So if tarot is a means of
it's simply just a tool. Tarot cards don't define anything. Some people say oh, can you draw a different card because I didn't like it?
Yes.
Or can you draw a particular card so it will bring me luck? It's no, it doesn't work that way. It's only tool for allow that person to go deeper into themselves. At the end of the day, if they don't have self-reflection or self-awareness, they can't really fix themselves. You know what I mean? Of course, you know what I mean.
Yes, I know.
So, do you base your life coaching on Louise Hay?
Yes.
Or is it just part of it? I guess it's a kind of part of it, isn't it? Doesn't it become integrated with much of your understanding
I did
of
my
life?
training with Louise Hay,
Oh,
and I ambassador for the brand in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I host the trainings
Yes.
on behalf of the Hay House in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that much I didn't really know. I knew that you're working with Louise. You work with the Louise Hay's
Yes.
idea, and I read her book. Well, I encountered her work about, say, 12 years ago when I was still living in Japan, and I got her book in English, and it was so good, and I actually gave it to one of my friends who was actually fighting cancer, and she found the book very, very resonating with where she was. We don't really have a contact, but she had moved to Australia, and she got clear of cancer afterwards.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's all because of Louise Hay. It's all among other things that she was doing as well. But yeah, her work was Louise Hay's work has been very, very powerful.
It has been, and I think the idea is not so much about the cure. It's really about the journey to healing.
Yeah.
And Louise herself had used a number of methods to return her body to balance. And when she wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life, she'd already been on the path for a number of years and hosting these programs, teaching people about the power of their thoughts and how to manage emotions and what are emotions and where does it come from and how to take personal accountability, because it's not an education that is available in our everyday schooling, in conventional schooling.
Yeah, definitely.
So her message just really came from her own experience, her own life of pain and rejection that we all, go through.
Yeah, we all go through, and also those who actually have a potential of having a calling of becoming a healer often gets exposed to much pain, almost suffering, in order to deepen the understanding of human experience and also have compassion and empathy for other people, I believe.
I agree with you, because if you look at any life scenario, any human experience, no matter how painful, it always brings us back to some eventual point of compassion.
Yes.
And there is a whole idea around forgiveness, but in my experience with myself and others and my great teachers as well, the journey or the doorway to forgiveness happens when we can find compassion and understanding organically. It happens inside of us. It's not something you think. You don't think, okay, I forgive you, therefore.
Yeah, no.
It's something that happens inside.
Yeah,
yourself.
It's actually experience, and letting, not even trying to consciously let go. It's just actually it really comes down to self-healing. of wanting to be free from the pain or anger that cause poisonous effects.
Yes, they basically are toxins. Our thoughts and our feelings, they move the hormones in our body, and on a cellular level, the cells become toxic. And the longer we hold on to the story and the pain and the hurt, knowing or unknowingly, the body is where it's deposited. It's like that junkyard for our emotions. So awareness is really, really important when we're on a self-healing journey.
Awareness and also willingness to, willingness or like desire to be healed. I am sure you encounter clients or even students. I guess you hold a school, so those who are actually not at deep level wanting to heal because it is scary to let go of the identity. If one lives with a pain for such a long time, the pain becomes part of that person, or person gets the illusion that the pain is part of their identity. And what is beyond losing identity? And trust and faith has to come in that something else will replace, something better actually will fill that space. But because it is unknown, they resist. I mean, I obviously have had that experience, and having that experience, I can have understanding that it's not that easy to let go of the pain, especially when pain was caused when we were so small.
Very little, exactly. And the journey of unlearning pain, unlearning the story that brought us to a point of I don't deserve, I'm not good enough. These are important. The childhood wounds are there, and it's not always the dark and dreary experiences of our childhood. A lot of our limiting beliefs come from innocent and pure experiences.
Yeah, sure. Well, we didn't even know that it was supposed to be painful, but then because children are often very open. They would even accept pain so quickly and easily. And the scary thing is they will make it part of themselves. Just like how easy it is for them to absorb like a language skill, they will absorb anything and everything.
Just sponges. I think that's what we were in that first decade of our lives.
Yeah, and how do you pick out that part of a sponge that has been colored with pain? Like, how do you take that out, right? Yeah.
I believe that if you look at your present day life and you look at where you are today and the things that are hurting you or confusing you or causing you some kind of discomfort, that's where you begin. We don't always have to actually go and understand, and at some point sometimes we may not. It's not always necessary. However, what I like about the personal healing path is that because you're in charge of what you are investing in your life. You're in charge of how you cultivate healthy feelings for yourself. You don't always have to keep going into the pain and digging at the scars.
Sure, yes. Yeah, it's not like rubbing salt on your wounds.
It's nurturing and it's gentle and it's kind and it's loving. It's just that we need the method in which to do that.
Yeah, and also, what psychologically speaking, humans' first reaction to pain is rejection or denial. It's like, no, that's not happening.
Yes.
Right? And they would have to go beyond that denial first. But I have definitely started understanding that pain or discomfort is actually where the door to better place is. And although there is denial, we have to go beyond that have courage to face that pain, having the awareness that, hey, that's the door. I'm sure as a life coach, and I also do life coaching, as you know. We encounter clients who getting this rejective mode, or like, no, that's not how I feel.
Yes.
And usually that's the sign that that's probably
The place they don't want to go is the place they really must go.
Oh, I've been there too.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's not how I feel. I was actually speaking to, well, our common friend who's also my, teacher, mentor, Shannon. And when she told me some emotions that obviously I was very ashamed of having, which was jealousy. And she said, jealousy? I said, no. Okay, fine, it is then. If I really want to say no, that's not how I feel. That's probably where the block is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work with that then,
I think it's because we conditioned to be these good, acceptable people and hide all of our ugliness and our, these things that are bad, like jealousy is bad, and all of this stuff, stealing is bad. And yes, it may be true that these qualities or behaviors are bad, but they're innate in every human being.
Yeah.
And every quality that exists in one human being exists in all human beings.
Yes. Yeah, we are all like a macrocosmos and microcosm reflecting each other. How is that? You have your heritage.
The foundation.
Yeah.
Yes. So my passion is people. I love people. I love humanity, which means I love myself also.
That's good. That's awesome.
And I think that as I started unlocking aspects in myself, it really inspired me to really teach it forward. I love teaching. And so Louise Hay is one of the teachers I encountered on my journey. I started about just over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And, as I'm teaching, I'm learning. And I think that's the whole purpose of evolution of one's own psychology.
Oh, the best way to learn is to teach. Yeah.
So another aspect that I discovered over the years is that not everybody can afford everything.
Yeah.
And, I thought of ways in which I could reach the people that could not reach me, or the education that we're bringing along with coaching and what we're teaching in the world. So that is how the foundation was born, on an idea that have a self-sustaining place where we could host these personal development retreats around the planet, and those monies go into the foundation, and then it pays for us to actually go to the places and the cities and the villages and wherever that cannot afford, and we can just go and share this teaching with them. So that is the purpose of the foundation. And wherever we can, like we have fundraisings for any global things, like we have floods or whatever, natural disasters, or if somebody around the corner just calls and says, hey, you know what, we had a fire, we need some stuff, and then we just kind of tap into the collective resources of all the people, that meaning our students and clients that are willing to help.
That's so awesome. Such a big work. That's, big
it's the
work.
little things that count, and I believe in the little things that make a big difference.
Yeah, and that trust and faith in the universe that you will have enough to provide to those who need it. And that's a great attitude to have in life.
Thank you.
If everyone on the earth had the same attitude as you, this world, planet would have been such a beautiful place.
Well, I truly believe that each one of us awakens to a way of helping. And this is mine. This is the creative child in me that she loves. That's what she loves. She has this image. She's a very magical child, and she just imagines being like a fairy, just sprinkling love dust on the planet.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
So that is just the grown up in me honoring a magical dream that I have.
Yeah. How beautiful is that to acknowledge that inner child of she's free spirited and she knows what she wants to do, and bring that aspect out of that an individual, so that she or he can actually do what she or he is supposed to do in this life. I think so many people on the planet actually get lost in so-called daily life, and they say, well, I say sometimes but but, and it just life stops there.
And children never say but. Children just say, let's just go.
Yeah.
Children are free at their heart center.
Yeah.
And that's really the core of Live Love Foundation and Live Love Academy, is to return us all to heart conscious living.
Yeah.
And heart conscious is the child. It is in the freedom and the liberty.
Oh yes, I can very, very, very much resonate with that. That there is actually a card that resonates with that idea. Although I haven't depicted it in my current deck, which is my first edition of tarot, but one of the most not mysterious but ecstatic, like a priest card, hierophant card, actually should be depicting an inner child at his heart center. So I had always understood it, but I think the idea became just confirmed. I think I'm gonna go home and draw a inner child image on his heart.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna add that image, because the understanding became just so clear to me how important it is to ground yourself and be realistic and spread what one knows, but also always be aware to connect to the higher and lower, to be balanced. Yeah, and that's the Hierophant card. So yeah, cool. Thank you for the understanding.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So okay, I usually do a one card reading for the guest, and I just just shuffle and then have you draw one card.
Okay, great.
Okay,
That's
cool.
a
Let's try that. What message? Is it okay? What message is the universe bringing?
Yes.
Okay.
The child in me loves magic, so
magic is real. I mean,
these cards are so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yes. If I may advertise myself, I'm an artist and I've created my own tarot deck, which took me 30 years to publish, because I was actually first 15 years was spent on just searching for the ultimate philosophy of tarot that I resonate with. And it took me 15 years, because I obviously encountered tarot decks, but not what's called traditional tarot decks of a Rider-Waite and Marseille cards. They didn't resonate. And although I knew when I was 14 years old that I am supposed to create my own deck, I literally took me 15 years to find the philosophy that I resonate with. Then I encountered so-called Thoth deck, which was created by Aleister Crowley, which is kind of notorious magician from 1950s, but on early 90s. But his philosophy totally resonated, and my cards just took a flight, and it took me next 10 years to draw everything, and now working on the second edition, and my art skill has gotten better. It's why wasn't it there 4 years ago? That I can't tell you, but my art skill has gotten better, and understanding of cards became deeper. So I will definitely be publishing the deck next year. And once I finish publishing, I do want to go around the world and teach people how to do reading, So I also resonate with your idea of teaching, that I believe this can be a very powerful tool to understand themselves, to understand people, and also it is a tool to tune into your own intuition as well. So yeah, well, we will talk about the plans that you and I and Shannon, three of us, whole soul, have in our mind. But yeah, Ashika and I will be working globally in the future. So let's do a reading first.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the message from the universe? Let's see.
Air of air.
Oh, air of
The
air.
Prince of Swords.
Okay, so this is thoughts, how important thoughts are, and you come up with ideas. You have gotten, basically it's you are so skilled and respected for your skills, talent, knowledge, and you come up with solutions to anything and everything. People rely on you, people respect you for that.
Yes, that's about true, I think.
Cool. This is cool card to
Yeah.
draw. Yeah, considering or knowing what you do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think it reflects your life work. I think you challenge people.
I do.
Yeah, like
It's
you
in my
know.
nature because, I think wisdom is something that's inside everyone, and if we can just bypass the intellect and tap into wisdom, so I can be a challenging teacher, challenge you to think, challenge you to believe, challenge you to focus on your vision.
Well, the card.
Stunning.
In one hand he has a sword. On the other hand he has a scythe. What is that? A tool to harvest things.
Oh yes,
Sickle.
a sickle.
Sickle, yes.
Yes.
And that's how mind works, on one hand we create thoughts, on one hand we start get devoured by our own thoughts. On one hand we create positive, on the other hand we started denying it. Mind can be very confusing thing, and I think you do that to people by challenging them. Their intellect, as you say, they have to go beyond the intellect, because the mind is only created, and we actually have a control over it. And the idea of having a control over ourselves can be challenging for those who actually haven't been conditioned to control their thoughts.
Yes.
So
and the nature of the mind, I think the nature of the mind in itself is about challenge. It's about problem solving.
it is. Yeah.
And in these 2.5 decades that I've been on this journey myself, in the very early days I was very drawn to spirituality, but something kept on telling me there has to be more to anchor that spirituality in the human experience.
Yes,
because
yes.
I was encountering teachers and people along the way that were really living in the ether, really just absconding from being human and going into their spiritual self, and thereby creating all sorts of illnesses and disharmony in their relationships. And I realized the importance of psychology. And this is where the quest for me, to educate myself and learn about my own psychology, and also study psychology and metaphysics and all of the lovely stuff I've studied, so that I can teach it forward and say to people, just remember, you are human and you have a mind for a reason. Yes, you have a soul, and your soul is eternal, and it is ever giving, ever knowing. But it's what you are translating those meanings in your everyday life into your physical body and your relationships that is causing you harmony and disharmony. So take responsibility for that psychology.
Yeah.
And that is where it begins. If you want to attain enlightenment and awakening, I say go to that place. Go to the place of where you are manifesting with that mind and your feelings. Take that responsibility and experience a very natural unfolding of what is spirituality. Because there's such a confusion in this world of spirituality today.
Oh, I know. Some people just live in the world of spirituality where no problem is acknowledged, and they just ignore the material, physical, and also intellectual aspect of life.
And it's very sad.
It is, because the spirituality is actually our physical bodies are just condensation of energy, and if we can't embrace the whole levels, the physical to intellectual to emotional to spiritual, if we don't engage all the levels, it's not truly spiritual, because the spirituality actually covers it all.
The whole soul.
Yeah, whole soul. So who are we, whole soul?
So whole soul, I love collaboration, and I think over the years collaborating with like-hearted, like-minded people to serve, that have this common mission. And I think Shannon, yourself, and I with whole soul is remarkable, because we're merging, we're blending what each other brings in our spiritual base, our knowledge base, our experience base to communities around the world. So I'm really looking forward to
me
21st
too.
December is our first one.
Yes.
In Adam's calendar this year, and working with what nature has provided in terms of the divine timing. Like this weekend, we've got the 11/11.
Yeah, your retreat that you have been doing for how many years?
Oh, countless years.
Uh-huh.
I'm born on the day, so
Yes.
I'm all synchronized with this magical number of
Cool.
11.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I celebrated by focusing on love consciousness, and 11/11 is that.
Yeah.
And then when we go into 21 December, it's also another cosmic moment.
Yeah, for sure. Summer solstice in southern hemisphere,
Yes.
and in northern hemisphere it's a winter solstice.
Yes.
And winter solstice is a time when sun god was conceived.
Yes.
The birthday, like a claimed birthday of Jesus Christ, Krishna, to so many gods around the world have the same birthday.
Yes. It's amazing.
It
and
makes
I think
sense.
there's synchronicity in the
Yeah.
divine in
Yeah.
these numbers. And for me, it's not so much the number, but really if you are aware, and if you are in a sacred space, it can be anywhere on the planet, but if you're in a sacred space within yourself, and you are aware of the synchronicity of the special timing, where the sun and the moon and all of the alignments of these planets are, sometimes you don't need to know what you don't know, but you can actually just imbibe the energy from
Yeah,
it.
yes.
So
Because like we're talking about from a Prince of Swords card that we drew. Intellect is important, but we are more than that. Spirituality is beyond that. Intuition is actually more than like book learned knowledge. And sometimes we don't have to know, but we can allow ourselves to experience.
And I have a feeling my intuition is quite strong about these events, and it just feels that more and more people are ready and seeking a refuge in places where they can be heard, where they can learn simplicity of what spirituality is without having to do and do and do to be something. I think we're moving away from that need to box people in as well.
Actually, I have been reading a book about manifestation.
Yes.
And humans have been conditioned to create something from something that already exists. But most of us have forgotten or almost deny or ignore that we actually are a reflection of God, and God created everything through His mind and the intention. Oh, that goes back to what we started talking about at the beginning of the show, which I wasn't even aware of. But it all starts from intention, and with that intention, you actually can start attracting material things. And we don't have to create from something that already exists. We can actually create from so-called nothing. And and that acknowledging one's ability is lacking in society.
And I think our society, our children, our elders, all ages and stages need to be aware that it's not in some of us, it's in every one of us. Everyone has these senses, and it's about learning. And it's not really about the coincidence of timing. It really is a willingness. If you wake up today and you just have a thought, I'm willing to learn how to tap into my inner wisdom. I'm willing to learn about myself. That's enough.
Yes.
But we've got to be equal participants. With it's manifestation is a co-creation. It's a two-way relationship. It's a harmonious one. It's between you and what is your creator, what is your universe.
And that reflects on what you do with your retreats and stuff.
Yes.
It's not just about you providing, but it's also about what participants want to.
Yes, it comes back to this card. When I look at this card, I see two hands, and I see two hands working together. And we all have two hands that can work together.
And sometimes it can counteract each other. Sometimes they co-work together.
It's cause and effect, isn't it? Because in this card, he's harvesting on one side.
Yes.
You know, he's harvesting on the other side, and in front of him he's got the sword. So he's protected.
Protected, yes.
Yes, and he's protecting those around him, and we are all great protectors. We are all great protectors, and we all are great providers. And this is the role that we all aspire to. Every human being I've met, as long as they are protected and provided for, they feel safe. And that's the greatest human need we have, is just to feel safe.
That is actually in psychology too, like a Maslow's hierarchy.
Yes.
It's the security at the different levels, but you know, the lowest at the bottom of the hierarchy is actually very connected to the root chakra of foundation, security, you know, the physical safety, and yeah, that makes sense. Atma, do you have any question?
Yes, I was just thinking actually earlier when she was talking about allowing yourself to, if not feel certain things, but go through certain things. Like you were saying, yeah, we're human, and you can feel envious, and you can do that and do that. So kind of like ongoing thought for me this week has been about vulnerability.
Yes,
Like,
powerful word.
yeah, what does it mean to be vulnerable?
Yes.
And I realize that, like you said, it's a powerful word. It's also a power in itself to allow yourself to be vulnerable and recreate yourself in that space.
And be vulnerable with yourself.
With yourself, yeah.
Because I know we're afraid of being vulnerable with each other.
Yeah.
And the journey to self-healing and self-actualization, or self-realization, if you want to call it that, vulnerability is the key. Sensitivity, vulnerability, because those are the unlocking tools that we have. Because I think the moment I started getting vulnerable, Ashika, I started dropping the walls inside. And it scared me to realize that I was really, really so angry and so afraid. But I didn't know that. Because I was conditioned to be a sweet, kind, pure, innocent girl, which I believed I was. But why was I angry? No, pure, innocent girls are not angry. I'm talking about a child. But what does a child have to be angry about, you know? And yes, I did have a lot to be angry about, but I didn't know that. And I'm talking about 20 years ago, going through the veil of vulnerability. It's so scary.
It is scary.
You know, it was so scary. But when I got through, when I met that wounded part of me, you know, today we are best friends. I know it sounds like I'm so split, but that's exactly how it works. These are aspects of ourselves. It's not who we are. It's what we are. The what is made up from the conditioning. The who is that spiritual aspect we know that is eternal.
Yes.
You know? I love that word. Vulnerability.
Yeah, and just to say, look at like how male people.
Oh my gosh, it must be
have,
so
like,
tough for you guys.
You even have like male vulnerability.
Oh yeah, there is, and also
just to see how much trouble guys have with that, you have to have a specific kind of vulnerability.
Yeah, I encountered this one mother and son. Like son would have been 5 years old or something at shopping center, quite like a few years ago. And this sweet little boy. They're from like Arabic heritage. It's like the way the lady was dressed, and this sweet boy was saying, "Oh, mommy, but this teddy is so soft and so cute. Can I have this?" And mother said, "You are 5 years old boy. You don't need a teddy anymore." And I thought, oh, that's conditioning. That's how you create stern men who can't provide softness to their women or others, and also can't admit their vulnerability as a human being, and will be conditioned to perceive vulnerability of a human being as weakness, which has actually nothing to do with each other.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
it's like there's nothing wrong to be emotional, nothing wrong to acknowledge their shortcomings, but I have heard that men's biggest fear is actually to be perceived weak.
Yes, that's a conditioning.
It's a total social conditioning.
All of our homes, all of our cultures, globally, you know, there are very few men I have encountered on this healing path that can actually just say, well, you know, I was allowed to just be that. I was allowed to just cry, and I was allowed to just be who I am in that moment. My sister could, but I couldn't, you know.
I don't think I have encountered a man who could express themselves freely. So I believe that men face so much. At the same time, they do block a lot as well, like far more than women do.
But I do believe, you know, in my experience in coaching men over the years, especially because one of the areas I focus on is family rehabilitation, so it's between husband and wife and intervention work, and men just shift the moment they go there.
They do.
They shift so quickly.
Yeah.
I think because women, we go into that emotional resource and it takes us a while to come back.
Okay.
With them, they can go into it and in a snapshot allow themselves to visit that place, but they don't really stay there as long. So they turn around time, and what they make it mean and how they move forward from that is a very different scenario. And that too is part of the conditioning. Maybe it's because they don't feel safe and trust themselves to wallow in it, and they're going to come back quickly, but still their shifts are phenomenal.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's better, I'm saying it's usually sometimes quite fast.
And maybe because men are more left-brained as well.
Yes.
That if once something is explained by logic, they can actually understand it and embrace it. You know, whereas like a female is more right-brained, generally speaking. I mean, it's not always the case, but so our thoughts or understanding and perception is often associated with emotions, which is, I guess, a bit of a different matter. But I can understand how men can shift because they actually can separate logic and emotions. Actually, physically, they do, because guys' right hemisphere and the left hemisphere is not connected biologically by neurons. So they do have this connection between emotions and logic, which is like it works for them. They can actually get on with the tasks that they need to get on while ignoring emotions. While the female brain, there is a bridge between right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and you know, what we are doing, like looking after our children in the caves, we got to do practical thing and emotional thing at the same time. So biologically, our brain structure is even different.
So can you train somebody to access them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything can be learned. Anything can be unlearned and relearned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, I was wondering with vulnerability, it's like, if you were to open that door, would you be sturdy enough?
That is why coaches exist, I think, and I'm not talking about the modern day coach. I mean, if you go right back in all of history, there was always a spiritual teacher, there's always a teacher, a guide, someone in your life that was guiding you, someone that was elder and more experienced. And today I just feel that lots of people do not lean on those family supports. I mean, we this last few decades, we are raised away from our families, and people live away, so the support structure is very weak, and therefore vulnerability and self-inquiry and all of those things are really postponed till the wheels all fall off. And this is why coaching and all of the social work that we're doing in the world has become a need. It's really a dire need. I know a few years ago, having a life coach was really like a fashion statement sometimes. I went to see my life coach, but really now people are starting to actually understand why life coaching exists.
Like, I went to see my therapist.
Yes.
Yeah. 20 years ago in the States, Americans talked about going to shrinks.
Yes.
It was, well, maybe not psychiatrists, but people do need to talk.
Yes. And if they don't have it at home, and if they don't have it in their friendship circles, they are going to, their mind's going to be hijacked. They what's going on in our community. Just yesterday, I got a call, last night actually, of somebody who was just beside herself with worry. She just found out that her child has been experimenting with drugs. So now this is a conversation we're having every day about the youth. Drugs are like available like sweets now, and the youth are like, for them,
they even package them like
yes,
sweets.
and they even say this is the cool thing. Back in your day you had cool stuff, this is our cool stuff. And what are the adults really getting all fussed about? But really, children don't know the dangers of what they are taking and what it's doing to them. So therapy needed, coaching needed. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
They
Therapy
work
and coaching
alongside
different.
each other.
Yes,
And they
but
cannot
they are
oppose
different.
each other, but they blend well together
Yeah.
when there's a compatibility.
Yes, there is a definite difference between psychotherapy to life coaching to counseling to clinical psychology to psychiatry.
Yes, they all are.
They can
Different
work.
highways.
Yeah, they are just different road, you
Yes.
know, and hopefully they all work together.
And coaching cannot replace what you need medically.
No, absolutely
You know,
not. Absolutely
And
not.
affirmations are not going to fix you when you are there. It's going to support you, but it's not going to be the fix. So
Yeah.
you need medical intervention, even if it's just from a diagnostic perspective, so that you can take constructive direction. So coaching is one of the highways of support that exist.
Yeah. And there are many coaching styles, you know.
Countless coaching styles. All, for me, every single healing modality that exists because it is meant to. And
Yes.
they can all work
They all
together.
work together. Yeah. It's like a torrent system.
Yes.
You know, one draws everything that he or she needs from a different directions.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just one
I really
modality.
like that model.
A torrent.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But that's
It's just like
it made sense to
it
you.
makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why we all exist among each other. We all need it. Every single one of us is like, we do something for somebody just by existing, I believe. You know?
Agree.
I mean, we have to. In Japanese or Chinese character, the character that means person is made of two lines that are like supporting each other.
Yes.
Because a person supports another and supported by another.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true. And this is why when a person does not feel supported, they start to feel alone. And you know, I read somewhere recently that by the year 2022, depression will be the the highest cause of death.
It's already there.
It's already there.
It's already there. Like a lot of I've lost like so far in this year alone. Hectic, come to think of it. I've lost quite a few friends to suicide.
There you go.
Because they were like depressed. And everybody thought, no, they're fine.
Yes, and it's the greatest thing to mask.
How were they like from your home country or
One from my home country, one from here in South Africa.
can I ask which heritage?
And
like,
funny thing is that they were both artists.
oh well, artists have that tendency because they're so sensitive. You know, I mean, like I do understand that, and because they are so like deep into themselves, like not just. And sometimes it's not about enlightenment or something positive. It's about like getting caught in their emotions and thoughts, because it can be source of creativity for artists. So, and when they don't seek out, which artists have a tendency of not doing because they're more introvert than an extrovert. And they can just get lost within themselves, and that's why it's so important to go out there, or like somebody reaches out.
Yeah, I just encourage people that just be aware. Your feelings matter, and you know there is support out there, and a lot of people do not feel supported and not understood. The most common complaint children give me about their parents and adults is no one understands me. Yes, beyond time, I think youth have been saying that, but now they're really meaning it. And now they're so much more braver in terms of experimenting with drugs, alcohol, and sex, and you know, going into navigating deeper and deeper into the pain until there's no point of return, or they believe there's no point of return. Parents don't have resources and support to help these youth.
And the other thing is that the popular culture, if not the packaging of what is seen as popular culture and continuous presentation, encourages people to take that.
Yes.
So the more conservative, if you look back then, people were. I mean, I was watching the 1920 something or 1950 something Reefer Madness, right? It was commissioned by the drug administration, something in America, anti-narcotics body or something. It was against marijuana, right? And the way they did it, I freaked out. You know, I mean, this is something that was like designed so many years ago, and it had me paranoid, like, oh, hectic. You know, can you imagine? Like now, there's nothing about that. Actually, there's like
movement toward.
Yeah, there's so many pro movements to access to drugs.
Yes.
And fake studies, right? In the words of Trump, but fake studies, right? Like, like you can get anything off the internet to tell you shrooms are now good for antidepressants. You can like self-medicate. Oh, this. Yeah, you get like certain things that are good for certain things.
As
like
long as it's
like that.
as long as it's under control.
You know?
Yeah, like exactly. It's like under a certain like controlled condition with a proper supervision of somebody who knows what the substance is. I think that's things can be helpful, especially natural things like marijuana or mushrooms. But I believe personally that if they are just taken as entertainment, recreational, like that starts becoming dangerous.
And in excess. Here's the other thing though, I was also thinking, now we have marijuana by design. You don't have like natural herbs.
Yes,
like,
that's true.
Oh, that's scary too. Yeah.
Manu's grandma was saying like back in the day, if you had a cold or a fever or something, it would make you cannabis tea.
Yes.
And it will help you, you'd heal.
But asthma and things like that.
Yeah, asthma and things like that. She's like, nowadays, this is not cannabis.
Yes.
Oh, it has been genetically modified.
It's been modified.
Yeah.
Modified because of anyway, there's always like a backlash with most of these artificial impositions. Making it less accessible means people start playing with it and cross-pollination
and this is why it's so important for individuals to learn. There has to be an education. Education is the start, and educating ourselves and educating families and children and adults that the inner resources matter, that what you're thinking and feeling is manifesting and or creating or developing your reality. That a child at 10 years old can learn about the power of their thoughts because they're already running fears of rejection. They're already buying into a system in their schools and wherever they are, that they are good enough or not good enough. And even when you are good enough, you have to work really hard to maintain being good enough, which comes with certain consequences that could lead to depression, and the same on the other side. So I think us as a community, us that is on this path of leading people in path, is really about saying to everybody, you know what, let's come together, let's create education. I think that's what Whole Soul is really about. It's another avenue of us to create educational platform.
Yeah.
Take people away from the city.
Yeah.
You know, let's just go and spend a day and a half or two together. Let us talk. Let us hear what's going on inside. Let's give you some tools in which to rebalance that. Go home and teach it forward. And if we can do that with more and more families and more individuals, we can. I still believe that little goes a long way. I still believe that if you're doing a little in your little life, in a little corner on the little planet, you can still make a huge difference. And I think it's a personal responsibility. I've got children, youth that have approached me that have their own campaign going, and they don't want to wait for parents and people to come and tell them, let's go and feed the poor. They got their own drive on how to get youth off chemical treatments for their skin, or let's go and adopt a pet at SPCA. The youth are taking these initiatives. I mean, it's so empowering.
And that's important.
Really like camping, stargazing.
Wow.
But yeah, nowadays the urban has become really virtual in the most subtle and gross aspect. I was just laughing the other day thinking about how virtual reality games or virtual reality experiences used to literally drive people insane back in the 80s. People would literally lose their minds, like go nuts.
That's true.
Right now, it took such a, I wouldn't even say it's a technological advancement. I'd say it's sort of like a marketing kind of stream leading up to today for it to be consumable.
Yes, that's the art of persuasion.
Yeah. So now people are like just swallowing it, you know. Just think, the 80s are not that far back.
No.
Right?
But
So you
at
want to tell
this-
me that we've like evolved?
But at least that back then, it wasn't infestation, but it has become infestation nowadays. Like in Japan, there are people who would just get stuck in their little room with their computer, and that's what they think reality is, and they have no communication with anyone. You know, maybe they would have been lucky if they had sensible parents who won't support such behavior, but there are parents who would support it. And so what happens when the parents are gone from the life? And you know, like it has really become serious social issue in that country. And yeah, as you say, education is important. Empowering people, you know, letting them be aware of their own responsibility, of what they want to do, what they need to do in their own life, in their own way. It's not about being given something. It's about letting them realize about themselves.
This is like I always say, building up to the show, it's always like connecting the dots. I've been reading Montessori. Yeah, how she's like saying the child is born with the ability to learn, like how you were saying about language. She actually says like within 2 years the person's already formed. So then thereafter it's just sharpening the edges, you know, or smoothing them out, whichever way, right? Yeah.
So we still got 5 minutes, but we would like to ask you, how do we contact you?
You can find me on the website, www.healyourlife.co.za.
Yeah, so I got your website. Can people email you or WhatsApp you?
Yes, my email is ashika@healyourlife.co.za.
Ashika is spelled ASHIKA.
That's right.
And at healyourlife.co.za.
That's right.
Okay. Cool. And if any of the listeners have any questions, they can also contact 108live.radio or me, Kashiopia.
Sweet.
So as I said, there's still 5 more minutes. So, well, actually 4 minutes. So, is there anything else that you want to ask or?
No, not really.
No. So.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in South Africa. Well, South Africa is quite big. In Botswana, there's like something called peer approach to counseling by teens. Right. I went through that. So is there something like that here?
Not that I'm aware of. I think a lot of schools have counseling based in the schools, and I'm sure they are, because we've got so many organizations that help the youth. I think it's just a matter of us looking. But I do know that a lot of youth have access to counseling. Yes.
And do they get training to like
yes.
help each other?
Yes, I think there is. With Heal Your Life, we've got youth programs, so we teach the youth the same things I'm speaking about here today, about mind and concentration and self-awareness and emotions and relationships and all of those lovely things. And that's from the empowerment perspective, teaching them. But I do believe counseling is required where counseling is required.
Yeah, I was just telling a friend of mine who's a traveling monk that, fine, you're concentrating your efforts in like institutions of higher learning, and I'm thinking like the problem is to be addressed a little sooner.
Yeah, when they might at least just before the teens, like pre-teens. That's the best time, I believe, in my experience, where children are really just grasping the concept of their self-identity, because up until that first decade, they really are mommy and daddy's children. And after that, they start to get a self-identity, and the self-inquiry really starts then. So they start deciding, I'm not going to be that, I'm going to be that. And that's where they need support. So that's the best time I think just before they enter high school, just 2 or 3 years before. And we must bear in mind, children are quite advanced in their mind already by age 8 or 9.
Yeah.
They're very developed, what lots of people call forward thinking, but they really, it's a natural environment for them.
Yeah. All right, then, now it's time to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the show. Today's weekly guest was Ashika, the life coach and also facilitator of retreats and your healing school. And of course, Atman, our producer, 108live.radio. Whatever. So if you have any question about the show or what we discussed today or tarot cards, you can email @Kashiopia.com. Thank you everyone, both listeners and guests. It was Interactive Tarot on 108live.radio. I am Kazway, your guide to tarot cards and holistic wellness. Tune in again next Friday at 11 a.m. Until then, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Kazway Kashiopia. You are listening to 108live.radio.
Wait. Cool. Thank you so much. 1 hour goes by very quickly, right?
Yes, very
Yeah. I